let's go to the Ashanti region, where residents in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, who have endured irregular power supply for some weeks, say they eagerly await an immediate and permanent solution to the situation, following an assurance by Minister of Energy John Jinapor. The residents have asked for a load-shedding timetable, but after touring the area on Monday, however, Mr. Jinapor ruled out load-shedding, insisting the country is currently generating enough power to meet both domestic and external demands.
I'm happy to announce that so far the supply situation has been stable and we are able to export some excess amount of power. But there's still more work to be done. Beyond generating the power, you have to evacuate it, you have to transmit it, and you have to distribute it. And so we are working around the clock to ensure that we address this challenge and ultimately ensure that we have very, very reliable supply and delivery of power.
Emmanuel Bright-Kweku joins us with updates from the Ashanti regional capital. Emmanuel, and so the minister has constantly said that as a country we will not need load shedding, but it tells me that in Kumasi, looks like residents are insisting on load shedding. Do we have any updates as to why they still have irregular power supply?
So MFR, as it stands now, we do not have the updates on whether there is a load shedding timetable that is the residents are demanding for, whether there would be a load shedding timetable for them. Because we know the minister came here yesterday and he has assured even the country, the Asantehene himself, he went to the Menchia Palace where he assured the Asantehene that we are not shedding load, but actually we've been able, as a country, we've been able to generate enough to even export to neighboring countries like Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso and Niger. And so he says that there is no load shedding as of now. But the situation here in the Ashanti region stems from the transmission of the power from the gridco end into the Ashanti region. So on Sunday, we had some issues in the Ashanti region where major parts of the greater Kumasi metropolis were experiencing intermittent power cuts. If I would say experience intermittent power cuts, within some 5 minutes, you expect your lights to be on, and then the next 5 minutes, it goes on and off. But they tell us that it's not about load shedding, but it's really about a jumper fault that was coming from the Ghana Grid Company, that's Gridco, and that's why they were experiencing that. And so when the minister came here yesterday, he assured that there's no load shedding, but the citizens or residents here in the Ashanti region now hoping that once the minister has said these words, they are hoping he would keep to his words and ensure that power supply is made available constantly, because some of the residents here are telling us their businesses are being affected. One, I would recall, says he is into shito production. And so once the shito ends up in the reservoir at his hub, they cannot do anything but allow it to spoil, because once there is no light, they cannot retrieve the shit from it. So it's really affecting businesses here in the Ashanti region. You talk of the barbering shop, the salons, we're talking about printing presses and others. And they hope that the power will be stable in the coming days or even weeks once they have the assurance from the energy minister.
But since after his visit to the Ashanti region, especially the regional capital, are the residents seem to be calm or not?
Once the minister has come, they are just insisting that he would keep to his word. Insisting that there is no doomsday as of now, and so the tempers are a bit calmer. But as the days go by and then they get to experience these power outages again, the concerns will come up again. So since the minister came for today, it's a bit calmer. But in the subsequent days, should we experience any power outages, and the residents will definitely come out and then talk more.
But Emmanuel, remove your Joy News jacket and tell me, you're a resident of Kumasi. Are you experiencing any power fluctuations at all? Maybe your family or friends?
I can tell you that it's really affecting us.
Okay.
I think on Sunday, Nana Boachi was complaining even about his fridge getting spoiled because the power kept going on and off. And so the things he had in stock, he was complaining about bananas, some fruits that he had, some meat that he had stocked in the fridge. He was saying that they are getting spoiled. Well, personally, I had my share of the power fluctuation on Sunday around 6 p.m. and the lights came back around 12 p.m. and that's 12 a.m. that's when I had to wake up and then iron my stuff. And so it's quite challenging for us here in the Ashanti region. We're hoping that the power situation will be resolved and everything will be back to normal. MFR.
Emmanuel, it looks like you didn't have to remove your Joy News jacket at all. You still wear it because it affects you all around. But thank you for bringing us that update from the Ashanti region. Now, in studio as well is Kofi Ajay, Isaac Kofi Ajay, who is lead research and data analyst here with Joy News. I'd want us to situate this power situation a lot better. Maybe it's happening in the Ashanti region, Kofi. Maybe it's trotting, it's coming to Accra. What is the real situation with the power crisis?
I think it's not just the Ashanti region, because certain areas in Accra are also experiencing power cuts and let me say what they call the low currents. For instance, in the Teshinungwa estate, for instance, you have the low currents going on, and then also power outages. I think places around Spintex and also Manette area, you also have same situation there. So it is not Kumasi alone, but I think parts of Accra are also experiencing the current situation that we are facing. But what we are learning as we decided to check what is actually going on is the fact that there are about 5 power plants that are currently down. I can talk of the T3 power plant, which has not been producing for a long time. Siemens has also been down, but the big ones are Senate, which is about, some 110 megawatts of power, is down at the moment. It's not been producing for the past 15 days.
Right.
You talk about Amandi, one big power plant, that's about 210 megawatts, hasn't been producing since for the past 61 days. Amandi has been absent. And then also there is the Bong thermal plant, which has also not been producing. If you add all of this, we are talking about more than 500 megawatts of power that is currently not available in terms of our capacity that's gone at the moment, not producing, not on stream at the moment. And so you have to do the load shed. And we understand that the part of the country that has actually been hit by this is the Ashanti region. So as we speak, per the data that we have, about 5 power plants are currently not working or are currently not on stream.
This will be mechanical challenge or because of the obvious reasons?
I mean, when we listened to the energy minister, he was very categorical that some of these situations are as a result of faults and maintenance.
Okay.
Possibly that's the reason why we are having this. But we also know that one of the biggest challenge has been buying fuel to power some of these power plants. Not just some of the power plant being down, but if you look at a power plant like AXA, which is able to produce more than 300 megawatts, it is currently producing just about 12 megawatts, producing significantly below its capacity. The question is, what is wrong with AXA, for instance? Is it maintenance issue or is fuel supply? So some of these questions must be possibly answered. But what we understand is that it's a combination, it's actually a cocktail of different factors causing the current situation that we are facing in the country. But for me, I think that the biggest challenge has been the fuel supply, which we know that WAPCO, for instance, is demanding. They just finished a pigging exercise. Definitely, they spent a lot of money to do that. And so if you are their client and you're owing them, they will come after you demanding for their money before they will do their part of the bargain. But what we understand is that in the entire 2025, we know the country needs about $1.23 billion to buy, fuel. And the finance minister was right that if you look at the rest of the year, or I think it was the energy minister, we need close to about $700 million to buy fuel. And so it's actually a cocktail of factors at the moment.
But do we know how much they were owed, the IPPs are owed? Do you know how much?
Huge. That's huge. About $1.73 billion is what the country owes the independent power producers, which many have refused the debt restructuring. Many have decided not to take the haircut that was actually initiated by the former administration. But what we understand is that, when the president took over the IPPs, the energy sector was one of the first groups he met to kind of, have a way around this whole big problem, because we need them. They actually constitute about 60% of the country's dependable capacity at the moment. And so IPPs, we can definitely not do away with them.
But quickly, before I let you go, Kofi, how do I explain to my 15-year-old cousin or brother watching that the minister says we have enough power and yet there's power fluctuations, and says that we can even export to neighboring countries? How does that work?
It's actually the demand, right? So if you say you have enough power, it could be the capacity. You can actually produce, right? But there's dependable capacity and then also available capacity. So at the moment, I think the biggest problem is the dependable ones. As for the exportation of power, the export of power, you definitely would have to do, because it is an arrangement with your neighbors. To keep good neighborliness, you still have to go ahead and do it. In times where we face difficult power situations, we're still exporting. Yeah, we're still exporting to Burkina Faso, and that's something that we need to keep up to. But some of the plants may be good to produce today, but definitely the next few hours or 3 hours, you can have them having certain faults and maintenance issues, and those are some of the issues or factors that may cause us to produce or generate below our capacity at the moment. And so we may have more power, but maybe the dependable capacity at the moment is what we are not able to. And also, demand and supply situation at the moment can play a huge role.
Mr. J, thank you so much for joining me today. Now.